Okay. Oh, Donna's coming, is she? You better tell her, please.
Hello, how are you?
Good indeed.
Yeah, are you going to sit right in the front there, Donna? Are you? Because I've got to get the chairman and everything.
Well, you need to catch the chairs to the side.
Alright, thank you.
Preserve them for posterity. Have you got the wall okay?
Tim, I understand this has happened at Chelsea.
Sorry?
You've had it filmed at Chelsea.
I thought you should say so.
I don't know, I'll ask him.
We had by somebody else in the past. They came on every week, absolutely every occasion, hanging on that sentence.
Right, let's go. Right, so welcome everybody to the Sidlesham Parish Council meeting of Wednesday the 11th of June. Remind you that this meeting is being recorded by the clerk for the benefit of the minutes, and it's also being recorded by Ms Gavin and filmed by Ms Gavin for her journalistic purposes.
For a public record.
No conversation.
We have had apologies for absence of Lewis Ram,
Yes.
Adrian Harland, and that's it. Okay. Can I have declaration by councillors of personal interest in items on this agenda?
No.
None? Okay. Questions from the public except subjects on this agenda? No. Minutes of the last council meeting of the 14th of May 2025. Can somebody approve and second? Thank you. Matters arising from the above minutes not dealt with in separate items below? None, thank you. I then pass the word to Peter Martin, our WSCC councillor.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I sent you earlier today the slides which we used this morning in the presentation, which I hope you've all seen. The comment I would add to that is that where we are, there's a timeline shown in there, and where we are now is sort of approaching August, July, August, where we're working on some of the detail of the local government organisation. There's an awful lot of work going on in there, and when that has been finessed, there will be a public consultation and engagement with members as well, in particular public engagement, before we then debate it at council in September and then submit it to the ministry. So that's where we are in the timing of it. But there's an awful lot going on because within that we have to, for instance, look at the business case, so that the cost of it all, that the council is strong enough to have the resilience, the financial resilience, the governance in place, that the community have been consulted, which I just mentioned. So all of these things need to be done. Also, what needs to be done is a separate committee works going on to work out how many councillors per what size of division there has to be, because the way the divisions and the size at the moment, there'll be far too much to do, and so we probably have to have a smaller number or two councillors in the same area. So that's being worked on at the moment as well. So there's a lot of work in parallel going on. A lot of open cases still which we don't know the answer to yet until we meet September. But before that you will be consulted. So that's all I need to say. But do look at the slides carefully.
Okay. Any further questions for Peter?
Yes, the question.
No? Okay, thank you. Item 6.1, TRO, this is the extension of the 30-mile limit beyond the Donington Road junction. We have received documentation from WSCC. We have to reply in favour. Is everyone in favour of that situation?
Good.
Thank you. We need to write to WSCC to confirm that the council has approved it in total. Right. I have to. I welcome Bex and
Mr. Chair.
okay, who have items on traffic management in Sidlesham and possibly the Manwood to discuss. Yeah. We've had a sort of pre-discussion on your case, shall we say, your suggestions, and we think that possibly the best way forward on this is for you to list out the items that you want to be addressed. You've got one? Splendid. Right, that's a good step forward. Would you like to read them out? Because I think we might be struggling to address those matters this evening, and I'm suggesting that we form a little subgroup that will discuss them in detail with all the people who deal with these things within the council. We tend to form subgroups anyway for various matters, and then that group reports back to council. We regard what you've written very seriously, but we do know, as I think I said at the APM, that there are serious problems of traffic in Sidlesham, not caused by residents. Normally they are people themselves passing through, etc., but others, and also the increase in density of traffic in this area. So could you read that list out, and then we'll know what we're going to deal with.
Absolutely. So a lot of it is to do with the sort of overgrown bushes, trees, hedges, etc. At the moment, the 30 sign from into Sidlesham from Selsey is completely covered. I have reported this to West Sussex County Council, and it's on their list of things to do. However, that is a matter of legal urgency because people cannot see those signs. Even from 50 yards away, you can't see them. I've got pictures. The current slow signs, the flashing ones, aren't always working. I don't know if that, again, is because some are obscured by bushes.
Some of them are programmed not to work permanently.
Oh, I see.
There's a thought among traffic management experts that people can get used to them if they're always flashing.
Oh, I see.
And therefore you have a period when they're not working, so that when they do start working again, people notice them.
Got you. Lovely.
Okay.
That's good to
That
know.
is the
Thank
same
you.
as the speed sign on the paddock spread.
Right, lovely,
Okay.
thank you. There is no school sign near the Keenor Lane turning. There's no sign that there's a school there. I don't know if that would again help to slow traffic on that main road.
Okay.
There are signs going down, but again obscured by hedges and bushes and trees, which is like an ongoing issue. We would like to see some signs created by the children from the local school to go up down Keenor Road as well. You know, the 20 slow where the children design them and they get put up, or 30 obviously down Keenor Road. And also we need to get the school to enforce the flashing lights outside the school because they are never on.
Really?
Never on.
Oh.
Yeah, which isn't helpful.
We did go to a lot of trouble as a council to
Have those put in.
Peter in particular, by the way,
Yeah.
to get this done.
Yeah, they're since my daughter's been attending, at least since September, I've never
Okay.
seen them switched on.
Have you spoken to the headmistress?
I haven't, no, but it's on my list of things to discuss with the headmistress.
Okay.
I've got a meeting scheduled with her to talk about various issues with the school and things like that.
Mr. Chairman, may I just clarify that bit? I have seen them all, and they are working. So if they're switched on manually, then yeah, that's way ahead, I think.
Okay.
Oh, I see, so someone physically
Well, I
has.
don't know.
Oh, I
No,
see.
So it needs to be,
We need to chase up.
Yeah,
need
absolutely.
to be explained.
Yeah, no
Because there's no
problem.
point in having them there if they don't.
No, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
they need to be on.
Right.
The Keenor Lane is there's huge issues with the pathways along there. Parents cannot walk on the pathways with their children safely because the grass verges coming right over onto the actual concrete of the path, and again the bushes are so overgrown
Okay.
that I've got parents with newborns in prams who are walking along the road with cars speeding next to them, and that's becoming a huge issue.
Okay. There are other issues related to that which I won't go into here, but we'll put them on the list.
Okay, lovely,
Yeah.
wonderful. It's mostly near, there's sort of a bit of farm, so you've got sort of fencing if you're going towards the school, and then there's a bit of farmland, they've got chickens.
Yeah, okay.
That's like the worst section down there. We need the yellow road marks outside the school, that all needs repainting.
That was supposed to have been done.
Hasn't.
I was assured it had been done. I don't know if it's...
No, I've got photos as well,
Okay,
so
all
that
right.
shows
Again,
that hasn't
all right,
been
on the
done.
list.
Yeah. Ideally, that whole school zone should be reduced to a 20-mile-per-hour limit, but obviously I know how hard you fought for a 30-mile-an-hour limit, so that may be a push too far for them. Obviously, there's huge issues with parking around there, but I do think by helping the situation with the overgrown sort of hedges and things, that will help to stop people parking up on the sideway, onto the paths and things like that. Again, that is a school matter, but I think if the yellow lines are repainted, then it's more of a visual for parents not to park in the way there.
Mhm.
Then there's obviously speeding is a massive general issue in
Well,
things.
as you probably gathered from the the annual parish meeting, we are trying to recreate the stag position.
Yeah. Has there ever been an application for a speed camera?
We had speed cameras. Karina, you were involved at one time with stag and the Genesis cameras.
Rather than individuals doing it, I mean, a fixed speed camera from Sidlesham to Sidlesham. There's never
No.
been an application for that at all. I think that might be a good thing.
I don't know if the authorities these days are very keen to put in speed cameras, but we can ask.
Again, yeah. And then a crossing on that main road, sort of just next to Manhood Lane, because you can't cross that road safely. You really
Okay.
can't. So some sort of zebra crossing, pedestrian crossing, ideally traffic lights would be amazing. That would be wonderful. But I think if you had a speed camera and then a zebra crossing, that would solve a lot of the issues that we have.
I can advise, I think, I don't know, but we'll check on this, that one of the reasons that the WSCC were not keen on crossings was because we don't have lighting in Sidlesham. Now, I don't know if that regulation has changed, but we did try a long time ago to get a crossing for people from church who are from Shoulder Lane to cross to the bus stop at the Anchor,
Mhm.
and that was refused.
Right,
So, but things move on.
absolutely. And
And we
this is
can
obviously
try
access to
again.
the school as well, which is really important.
Yeah.
Children need access to the school. The teenagers need access to the bus stop to be able to get themselves on the bus to school. And the elderly as well. I've got a lot of elderly residents who really struggle with that road, and the
Yes.
bus lane is a lifeline for them, And I've been given stories of people who have ridden the bus the whole way round because they're too scared to cross the road, so they've done an extra 20 minutes on their journey. One
Yeah.
woman was waiting half an hour and missed
Yeah.
her bus because she couldn't cross the road. So, yeah,
Yeah, I know.
We need
that-
a crossing.
I certainly know the case of a lady
Yeah.
who would not cross the road, took the bus to Chelsea, sat on the
That's
bus,
it,
came
yeah.
back, she crossed the road, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the...
no, it's
That's not
awful.
so,
It's
you know,
horrific.
what I'm saying is, we are, as a council, well aware of these things. I'm very pleased you raised them,
Mhm.
again, and I think we will form a subgroup. And as I said to you this morning, I think we need to, it's maybe too extensive a list to go through this evening.
Yeah,
But if we form a subgroup, we'll obviously invite you, and both of you, and go through it in more detail when we have the time, because it does require a lot of discussion.
It does, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, and the only other thing we were talking about was there was an article on your website in 2016 written by Paul Bedford, yes. Sorry, my apologies. And there was a lot of brilliant information and ideas on there to help improve the roadways for the village. He suggested we put in the white gates, for example, at the opening and closing of Sidlesham. There was talk of making it look more like a village rather than just a through road.
That was put forward to WSCC, and at that time was refused. Again,
Yeah.
we can try again.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no
I
reason-
think every year, keep going until they bow down and say yes. And if it needs to be pushed higher to the MPs and what have you, then go for it. Why not? Go take it as high as it needs to.
No,
I spoke to Chris Stark. I'm not sure if you know who Chris Stark is. He is the head of transport for West Sussex County Council, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's well aware. He said that Sidlesham Road, the B2145, is the top 5 worst roads in the county. And he said it is on their list to review 2026, 2027, but obviously that's next year and the year after. So I feel like every July we should be putting in those applications for the highways team and just
Well, I'm pleased to hear that Mr. Stark is taking that view. We have had several visits from road engineers from WSCC. Some things have improved slowly over time.
Yeah.
I think we keep going and see if we can bring
Absolutely.
about these improvements. Let's do the easy things first.
Yeah.
And obviously Peter has heard what you've said, as he's our main link to WSC and has been very successful in getting things done. In particular, for example, the problems around the school. And I hope those are working better than you think they're working. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I feel like someone should come along of a morning and see the carnage that happens. I'm not sure if any of you have primary school age children. You have, yeah, and come and see the carnage. For example, the hedges and the bushes, I know there's not exactly a caretaker at the school. So, and last AGM there was the Manhood Heritage Trust, is that right? Who were talking about projects within, the pollinated highways, projects around the community.
Well, you've seen the pollinated highways project.
Absolutely, but could they not come back and help cut back the school a little bit, just to sort of make those areas a bit more accessible? I can't imagine it would take more than a day just to chop down.
I don't think that's part of their remit. They are doing a lot of work on the ponds. As you may or may recall, we've had cars diving into the pond by, what's it called? The one by, opposite Mill Lane, not Mill Lane,
Rookery Lane.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure whose jurisdiction certain areas of the community is.
The ponds belong to the parish. The
Yeah.
parish looks after the ponds, but we do subcontract that to Manhood Wildlife.
Right. Okay. So
To
Manhood
tidy
Wildlife
them
could
up.
potentially come and sort out the problem at the school.
Well, I don't know. That's up to them. That's not a pond.
No. I'm just saying there's a potential that they could come and help if there is a project there that needs sorting, and or is that something that the school has to sort
We can
out?
talk to Manhood Wildlife about that. I can't make decisions for them.
I think the school need to pay to somebody to cut their hedges.
Yeah, they should. It's their
Basically,
liability.
it's the landowner's responsibility to keep the hedges.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can.
In the
Yeah,
paths and things.
No.
So we have battled with that.
that's right. We have, as Mary said, we do have problems with residents
Not cutting their hedges.
not cutting their hedges.
And the school needs to be responsible for cutting their own hedges.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It is a long-standing battle, which will not go away.
Mr Chairman, can I just say, I second your idea, we should have a subgroup to do this. I'm very happy to be part of that subgroup.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
none of what we've said
Sorry.
is new to me at all.
Yeah.
So I feel very much the same as you, and I think if we can have a subgroup, we list everything, prioritise what we think needs to be done first,
Yeah.
and just take it from
I can
there.
leave my little list here with you
Yes,
guys,
please.
so you've got it,
Yes,
and then
please.
you can have a little look through it.
Yeah, if you would.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Chair, I can confirm that you would both be willing and happy to volunteer to be on the subgroup for the safety meeting.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Yeah.
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 I'll just make sure you've got your because I didn't get your comments.
Yeah, we've got a...
Brilliant. I'll do it on behalf of the older generation. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's very scary down there, you know, for a lot of parents. And I know it has been for a long
We do
time.
agree. We
You know,
do
it's
agree.
very, very scary.
As you heard from the APM, our powers are somewhat limited, but
We just need
if we
everyone
keep pushing away,
to push and push and push. and make
and we need
difference,
to do some of these community schemes, which will be one of the ways to get things done.
yeah. Mhm.
So,
How do we get a bit more of a police presence?
Did you know they were down that main road recently actually doing speed camera checks? They have.
yeah.
They could make quite a bit of room.
Yes, they could. That's why I thought speed cameras. They'd make a small fortune out of that. They could pay for their own traffic lights, you know.
The trouble is, one of the last bits is all the
Okay.
lights.
Mm.
Right, as I said at the beginning, I don't want to go on to this because we've got other things to discuss
Absolutely.
here. So that's a very good synopsis of where we're at and what we need to do.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to organise a subgroup, and then that'll report back to the council in the course of time. But we do understand where you're coming from.
Great.
And we are working ourselves on these things, as you heard about the extending the 30-mile limit to
Mhm.
cover the Dyington Road junction. So we've had numerous. One of the people here this evening lives on that corner, so if you chat and verse the number of accidents that have been, fortunately, non-fatal.
Mm.
But we are very conscious of this
Yeah.
problem.
It is a case of who has to die for the highways team.
Please
Do you know what I mean? But that's almost where it is. If they're pushing back so hard, who has to die for them to stand up and take notice, you know?
Well,
And I hope it's not me.
and so far, we haven't had that problem, but we try and avoid it if we can. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, I'd like to close that now, because Peter I know has another meeting to go to. So he's heard the scenario. If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome, but it's up to you.
No, I think are you good to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just that bit.
Just
Okay,
that
anyway,
bit.
thanks for coming.
Oh, you're right up. Sorry.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Peter, thank you.
Bye.
Anytime, anything you want me to do.
Well, what we'll do, we'll give you a list of what we think could be done. And thanks again.
Thank you very much.
One thing that has occurred to me, just popped into my head, but we've lost Peter now. But we are having some success down in Selby with West Sussex County Council. I mean, nothing's in the bag. So I really don't want to give unrealistic expectations. But there is the active travel fund, which is available from the government. And certainly down in Selby, we have had quite a lot of contact with West Sussex County Council with regard to making areas safer to promote active travel. And they have, to be fair on West Sussex actually, they have been quite proactive because we've prodded quite a bit. And I had in my inbox a couple of weeks ago an entire list of things that they were beginning to if you excuse the pun, actively look at. That doesn't necessarily mean to say that they will come to fruition, but it does mean to say that they are being actively investigated and funding streams are considered. So if when you form a group, if you promote the active travel aspect of it, that seems to give a bit of leverage.
Because one of our councillors is active with the MPP on this the Green Lanes and Quiet Lanes project, so we're doing what we can.
Absolutely. So I mean, there's a bit of leverage.
Okay, fine. All right. Well, you updated yourself, you are on next.
Am I? Oh, lovely.
So it's the
Well,
news,
I'm
news
with-
from CDC, please.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add that Peter has said with regard to devolution. You know, I'm in this sort of interesting position in that I'm on the working group at West Sussex County Council on CDC, so I get to see both perspectives. There was a briefing today at West Sussex County Council, which I will concede I missed, but obviously Peter will make the slides available to you. But my understanding from a fellow West Sussex County Councillor was that there really isn't anything to update. At the moment, we still appear to be waiting on Crawley and what's happening between Crawley and Surrey, although that doesn't appear to have a great deal of impetus, really. So we're still really at the situation where we've got East Sussex, Brighton and Hove, which is coming well below numbers, but might creep a little bit toward the west, but not a great deal. And West Sussex, where, you know, there are some people within West Sussex who want a pan-West Sussex unitary. But I think the general feeling is that we're looking at north-south or east-west still. But obviously what has to be looked at is the business case. So that's, as Peter implied, is what's happening at the moment. The only thing which is sort of generically relevant, I think, from CDC is what's going on with planning at the moment. I can't recall actually, I must apologise whether I mentioned this at the last meeting or whether it hadn't taken place, but we've had a bit of argy-bargying going on up at CDC at the moment because they decided to preempt the government consultation with regard to changes in the planning committee. So overview and scrutiny, which I chair, was seriously opposed to that, and we were on 13 members. And CDC's proposal was to drop it to 10. We weren't happy with that. And I had quite a few meetings with Adrian and Andrew and what have you. And so they agreed to 11. I wasn't happy. I presented my case to Cabinet. I couldn't go to the full council meeting on the 20th of May because I was at the Palace, but I had another member of the committee presented my argument. I think, to be honest, by then it was a done deal. I think the decision had been taken that we probably will have this imposed upon us, and so therefore there's an argument to be ahead of the game. At planning today, there was we were presented with the answers to a consultation which CDC had been requested to take part in. We probably have been here just the same. There was a bit of argy-bargying. I was in an awkward position because obviously I had vehemently opposed the reduction in the numbers on the planning committee. But there was also an implication that the red card system was going to fall. I have to say planning was very unhappy about that. I spoke quite vociferously in opposition to the removal of the red card system for a number of reasons. Anyway, the upshot is that planning have instructed officers to ensure that as part of the consultation with government we say that we want to keep the red card system in place. And that will go in front of committee, and that hopefully that will be approved. The one thing that I think we will have to watch out for is that it looks like that there will be no automatic referral anymore when a parish objects. Now, if a parish objects to an application, there will be no automatic referral to committee, assuming that is considered in Tier A. Now, there are various caveats to that, and there is an expectation that if there is perhaps an area which is very contentious, that the ward member would be able to lobby and make representations to the officers, to the chair of planning, to the director of planning, etc., and maybe move things along a bit. I think that's what we need to watch a little bit. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's very important to keep the red card system, because
Absolutely.
we do also have the odd occasion when I've red carded something when actually officers have been minded to refuse an application, but the parish has said actually we don't think that there's a problem. So I'm pretty sure that certainly in regards to the consultation, I'm pretty sure that that will be our response, that we don't want to lose the red card system. Otherwise, I think what we will end up doing is we will end up having to lobby officers, the chair of planning, the director of planning, in order to get things to committee if we think it needs to go, because there would be a loss of councillors' autonomy. So it won't be so easy to get things to planning.
When do you think you will have a definitive ruling on this?
Well, CDC has already adopted, it still has the red card at the moment, but it has already adopted the policy of not automatically having referrals made to cabinet to committee. So it has already adopted that. When I spoke at cabinet, Jonathan made it very clear that CDC wanted to be quote unquote ahead of the game. So rather than have something imposed by the government, it wanted to manage it to some degree. So we will have to be aware of that. So I think if there is anything that comes through planning that you feel particularly, strident about, then you're going to have to tell me so I can communicate that, because otherwise the likelihood is that will just be delegated to officers.
Yeah, I think we do already, don't we?
Yes, exactly. But, it's worth bearing in mind that it's not a given that it will find itself a committee, because it most likely won't.
Okay, all right, well, thanks for that.
So I don't, but in terms of anything that specifically affects here, there is one thing that might. I've had a few representations made over the last few months with regard to not having benches at bus stops and indeed not having shelters at bus stops. As a result, Stagecoach have kind of put in a wish list to West Sussex County Council about where they think it would be helpful to improve the bus stops. And West Sussex County Council is taking that forward now, and they are now looking at all the bus stops along the route of the number 51 bus.
Oh, good.
To see
Because
what
there
we
are
do.
a couple, certainly.
So there we are.
There are a couple we've discussed recently that are either overgrown, poorly marked, poorly protected. So,
Well, tell me, and now they are beginning to look at it. I mean, it's not going to happen next week, Martin, because it never does. But tell me, and I can make sure that's communicated.
I'll send you photos of what 3 words, because I've taken them already.
Tell me. Peter won't mind, because it's on the 51 route, so I can do that.
no, it was on our, I don't know if it's on the agenda tonight. It isn't, but certainly we discussed it, and it is a cause for concern that there are.
Just tell me what you think needs looking at.
Yes, certainly.
And they are looking at it, so now is the time to strike.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. So who's taking responsibility for the bus stops? Is that WSCC or is it Stagecoach?
No, it's West Sussex County Council, because it's their land. But they have consulted with Stagecoach, and Stagecoach have given them a wish list.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's in response to that wish list and other things as well that West Sussex have decided to look at.
Okay, great. That's good news.
I'll send out details before the end of the week.
Yes.
Yes. Well, we'll put our heads together because I'm sure I know a few as well. Anyway, okay.
Okay. That's it.
That's it. The local plan is still for midsummer.
Yes, it's still going through. I don't know if anybody's aware, but Mid Sussex has had theirs thrown back at them. We are actually in quite a good position local plan wise, because of course Horsham doesn't have one, they've had issues, and Mid Sussex has had theirs not exactly refused, but there are issues with it, and so Mid Sussex is appealing it because they consider it's unreasonable by
That is Mid Sussex, you said?
Mid Sussex,
Mid
yeah.
Sussex.
So neither Horsham nor Mid Sussex are anything like as far down the line as we are.
Okay, thanks for that. So we're still on for midsummer?
We're still on, fingers crossed. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're still
well,
on.
exactly, yeah. Not asking for commitment.
No, but we're still on. And the manhood is still zeroed, but all
Yes.
strategic development. And if you look at the flood risk plans, the latest ones, you will see them.
Are they available?
Yeah, they're up there now. Yeah, there was an application, Melita. We used the Melita.
Yes, I know.
We used it
I
for
know.
Melita, to refuse Melita. So they're up there, Mark.
Yeah, okay, good. Any questions? Yeah.
May I just ask Donald the question, how are we getting on with the rates rebate, the claiming of the money back?
Well, if you put the form in, Norman,
In
if the
April, at the
application has
beginning of
gone
April.
in, okay, there is a grants and concessions meeting within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I haven't as yet seen the agenda, but I would think it's likely that it will be there. It's a decision for the grants and concessions panel. It's not an office of delegated decision, so it will come. I will see it because I sit on that panel.
Okay,
Yeah, but I'll let you know.
thank you.
I can ask them. I'm happy to ask them if it's going to be on, this month.
If you've got time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, any further questions?
25th, sorry, Chair.
Oh, it's on the 25th.
25th, June.
There we go. The grants and
Grants and
concessions is on the 25th, so I should be able to tell you in the
Fingers
next
crossed,
week. Then.
25th and all.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have the agenda within the next week.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, item number 8, Sidlesham Memorial Recreation Ground. Updates from Rhea and Norman.
Well, evening everybody. We got to the end, I'll just refresh your memories, to the end of our 3rd financial year. And the accounts are in draft form, they are with the auditor, but I don't expect anything to change. So, in theory, you've each got a copy of the annual accounts of Sidlesham Community Association in front of you. And I'm just going to talk you through one or two of the important figures. You'll see at the bottom that there was a surplus in the year ending April of £6,500. And just to refresh your memory, the year before it was a surplus of 707, and the year before that it was a loss. So I think there's been some pretty hard work put in order to get where we are. Thanks to your chair, i.e. Martin, for the input on the soccer side. And in terms of what we've done is sell the premises and the use of those premises for the internals. So that's the surplus. Cash in bank, you can see, has reflected that and now stands at just over 30 compared to 23. And the other numbers I would just draw your attention to, looking at the expenditure, I think we are reasonably pleased with the fact that the premises expenditure and maintenance we managed to hold at about that same figure, around £9,000 for the last 2 years. That's not to say that we aren't going to have substantial demands in the coming year or this year, because there are issues arising with regard to the field, and all I can say is that's the budget that I would be setting in terms of the maintenance costs for this new current year. The other figure, just to draw your attention, is that I've mentioned about football in terms of income. That's up from 6,600 to just over 8,000. The cafe income are down a little bit, partly I suspect because of competition. And as Karina will know, people who hire the premises have been inclined just recently to also hire in their own pizza van and other organisations. And frankly, the fee we get out, if we get a fee out of the van, it's minimal compared to the income that they're making. Pizzas are £12 a head, and they were absolutely rubbish, according to the people who ate them. Give you a flavour of what people are having to pay for a pizza. In terms of village functions, yes, a nice increase there. That's purely due to increasing usage. And general hiring generally I call the sort of hiring which is non-village, i.e. somebody comes from Sussex and says we want to hold a 21st birthday party, that I would call general hiring, as distinct from village functions, which is where we ourselves within the village are responsible for things. And when I say we, I mean people within the village organising functions. So that just gives you a flavour of what's happened and in comparison with the previous year. So I'm just going to stop at that stage and say, are there any further questions?
No, I think we're all generally happy with the way things are progressing. Anybody got any questions?
No, just looking at the turnout for things, especially for the last month, let's say, excellent. Bill's talk, football competition, all of that just shows that everything's going in the right direction, which is good to see.
The young folk last weekend apparently was particularly successful.
Yeah.
As you say, going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
I think we've established the viability of the exercise, at least at this stage, so that was what the stage one of the MOU was about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to come back, if I may, I have been in conversation to the person who was introduced following the she's come back to me with several questions. That's been handled, and so we are in her hands to get a definitive response. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Okay. Infinity agreement on license.
Well, we've invited them to a meeting.
Yeah. What's the date? I've forgotten. Sorry.
Well, they haven't responded yet.
They haven't responded. Okay. What were the offers? 16th or 18th? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. This month, the 12th.
Yeah. I'll get back to you on that.
Next Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it was.
Do you want me to attend or not?
Well, I copied you on the...
I know you did, yeah.
So you're welcome to attend.
I don't know whether it was politeness or whether it was...
It's probably useful if you do.
Okay, right. Okay, I'll get back to you tomorrow on that. MOU agreement, you've got a team lined up. Have we got a team lined up?
Yes, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
I think if Tracy join me on it.
And don't look so happy, Tracy.
I'll do all the writing, Tracy. You can do all the talking.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
But at some stage, I think we need to come together.
Yeah.
To do
Yes.
it together.
Absolutely.
I think to start with, just making our own notes
Yeah.
and then just sort of mould it into something which is agreeable for us all.
Can we come together potentially in July? Because otherwise it's the holidays and then...
Yeah, it needs to be signed, sealed and delivered in November, doesn't it? So,
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, let's have look at dates, diaries and things and get together in July.
Oh, yeah, who's on holiday? When? Oh, see. Okay, right.
Should be easy enough.
Alison can... Right, okay. 8.4, which is maybe anticipated by what you said earlier, the situation with new roof. I think it has been explained that we're trying to get a grant to, once and for all, seal the main roof of the, what do you want to call it? I used to call it clubhouse. I know that's not a good word these days. I know, I appreciate that. But what do you call it?
Memorial Hall.
The hall,
Yeah.
but not the big hall. The hall, the
Well,
big
the
hall's
building,
been done.
the whole building's called the Memorial.
Yeah.
So
we are looking to get grants
from
offers to begin with, and see if we can get a grant for it.
From?
CDC.
I don't know.
Is it CDC?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's another one on your list, Norm.
Is that 100% grant, or is it that we have to put certain money up?
No, it's at the moment 50-50. I know that Donna is actually looking into it for us to possibly.
Yeah. I believe it would be very helpful to have that roof redone thoroughly to stop all the little patch leaks that keep occurring, that's all.
It's just all the little pots we've got around.
Yeah, I know,
Water.
yeah.
It's horrible.
Okay, let's move on. Ferry Farm consultation meeting we've done, I think. Yeah. So, playground. Any questions on the playground? No?
There's just one item, very, very quickly. The ramp up to the tunnel is overgrown with thistle and everything else that somebody pointed out. And you and I spoke about getting some quotes for AstroTurf.
Well, I saw Paul Devonshire in situ last, on the morning of the, and said to him, can you, and I think he's knocked some of it down. He was talking about digging out the weeds, which is the ultimate and better solution, best solution I should say. I don't know exactly where he is with it, but we need to investigate. But certainly it looks a lot better than it did.
Okay.
Right, next time you're up there, cast an eye over it. Yeah. Okay. 10, 8 p.m, annual parish meeting. As I said in the memo, thanks to everybody who contributed. I think it went off very well. I think the general reaction from the public has been positive. And we are now processing the feedback.
We've volunteered.
Yes, well, that's what it's about, to a certain extent. Anybody, any comments on it?
Just one, there was a comment made by one person in the audience about having the parish council meetings in the Sidlesham Community Hall. And I'd like that to be thought about and put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Or can we organise the heating first?
Well, I think we need to put it on the agenda and discuss.
Okay.
I'm happy to discuss it. I think the room is too big.
Yes,
And
it is.
I can tell you, I think it's great, and I go to choir in the winter, and it is jolly cold. And I think if you're sitting for several hours, you won't find it as comfortable as...
No,
Can we have it in the
we've got the facilities here too.
There is the smaller room.
This is
Yeah. Okay,
It's
I
not
think
that I'm anything against it. I go to the hall for functions.
yeah, I think we discuss that at the next meeting possibly.
Agenda items, yeah.
Yeah, put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Right, correspondence received. What? Have I got the wrong one again? Oh, defibrillator training, that's right, yes. Go on, Alison, you're doing that. Well, you've got quotes, haven't you?
It's not for training. You know we're having the telephone box. Yes. The telephone box we're adopting. I've received through a couple of emails from different companies for defibrillators, and one of them has said that they will honour the quote that they gave us, which was for 600 was 50, wasn't it?
About that, yes.
About £650 plus VAT for a new defibrillator, obviously in his case, as opposed to over £1,000, which is what a couple of other firms that I've had come to me have said. And so it's basically if we want to, before this offer goes, because they're holding it for us, because I told them we were having a meeting tonight, I'll be happy to go ahead with that and go in the process, because that's what we're going to put into the phone box.
Yes, Christian.
Do we have any idea if any of the defibrillators we have in the village have needed to be used?
Yes.
Yes.
Have been good, which, how many are where?
The one at the Memorial Hall has been used, I believe, and Crown Ankle was used, and I also think the church one was used.
Church one was used, well, it's certainly effective when Jill Cook collapsed, but they ground the educator, so you can have
So about two.
Three, I think.
I mean, or doesn't want to.
Yeah, it's
So it's not the point, it's
Have we put this in the budget, please?
No, we haven't.
We haven't,
No, it's not in the budget.
but you're talking about buying one and it's not in the budget.
But we agreed to buy the telephone box for £1 and we agreed to put a defibrillator in it, so we have to buy the defibrillator.
Yeah.
There's no point having an empty telephone
I'm
box.
sure we'll get over that some way or other.
Yes.
There are other items in the budget which are probably overcated.
Could we also do, we discussed at the AFM, maybe do some fundraising at the Sidlesham Memorial Grounds as well? Because with all the teams that come along and sadly it does happen.
Maybe do a training course there.
We could do a second training course.
A second
Yes.
training course,
And
which is
also,
very popular.
could we do some fundraising through your wonderful CAF? And equally, could this company that you've got, Alison, I know that the one at the Memorial Hall is due to be serviced, was it this December?
It was way out of time when you looked at the figures, isn't it?
It didn't have long left, did
It
it?
didn't have much, but the battery needed to be replaced.
At the end of the year. So I just wonder if I don't know if it's the same model, but could they do us a really good deal if they're being so generous about looking at the one that needs servicing, which is a new battery, as you said.
Money.
It might be worth asking them, if you don't mind.
It is next year for the battery, not this year.
But it's not 2025?
No,
Oh, I
it's
thought it
2026.
was December 25. Okay, ignore what I said then.
Martin, do you mind if I ask a question about that?
Of course, yeah.
Alison, who is going to service it? If they need servicing at least once a year, and sometimes the battery changing, in respect of whether they're being used or not. I'm asking because we managed to get the first responder in Selsey to agree to do.
Well, they're on, it's called the circuit. And what I go round, I think it's once a month, and actually check the batteries, check the pads, check the whole thing, that it's working and everything, check the dates and so forth, hasn't been obviously messed with or anything, and then I put that goes into the system, and then I'm notified, I'll get notification through of when it needs to be, when the battery will need, obviously I will know with the battery, but they will notify me in advance of when that needs replacing. So.
Okay, so you'd have to pay somebody to do that?
I presume so, yes, but you don't have anyone who does.
Do the first responders come up with sponsors? Do they not?
I know one, but he's operative at Cleveland
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we can always talk to them.
I mean, it's worth a conversation because there's quite a few down Selby.
Yeah.
And actually the first responders have, to be fair, they have actually rosemary and they've supplied them. I think the town council has supplied the casings, the cupboards for them. Because we don't have a telephone box. But I know they take responsibility for checking on and servicing.
Well, when we get to that stage, let me know.
Might be worth just asking.
I'll talk to the person that I know.
We're talking about the same person, he's my best man, so I think I could ask him.
What, the submarine man?
Yeah.
There you go.
Alison, just a quick question. The quotes, there's a big difference between 600 and 1200 or whatever it is. Does that include all the connectivity which needs to come with a defibrillator, or is it just a defibrillator in a case? Could you just check?
I will just double check that, yes. I will come back to you on that one, because I'm fairly certain it's all encompassing, but I will double check that. I'm sure that's what it said on there, but I can't quite remember, so I will need to check that, yes.
Okay, right.
Is it possible that the clerk could do an article to the parish magazine saying where all the defibrillators are and mentioning the new one?
They are already, it's already been done. It should already
In
be.
the parish magazine?
It should already be in the parish magazines because I did it last year somewhere.
I just think there should be like an advert go in every single magazine.
When the new one is in, then I think we should celebrate its survival and reiterate where the existing ones are.
Yeah, and also in the spread, it should be something that goes in every month.
It should be in every month because it was requested. I requested that last year when I did the list of where they are and everything.
Okay,
So,
right. Okay, let's move on. Item 11, correspondence received, which includes item 11.1. Can you all ratify the cyber insurance that we've had to
Yes.
do?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, the ratification of standing orders. There's a new one being sent out, which I don't think is vastly different from the previous one. Can we all assume, can I assume you've all read it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Matters of urgent public importance. No. Schedule of receipts and payments. Balance on the bank statement as per the agenda. Schedule accounts for receipt. Are we all okay with that? Yes, please. You will note that on door to door we got a rebate because they didn't deliver all that they were supposed to deliver again. But okay. Well, at least they're
It
honest.
did seem to work where they did deliver it.
Pardon?
It did work where they
It
did.
did, yeah. We were very pleased with the turnout. It was much better than it was the previous year. Hopefully we can carry on increasing. Maybe we ought to add a bit of history of Sidlesham to it as well to get the numbers.
Good idea.
Okay.
I think it was very good. It was
What?
very good. And the feedback that I had on the night was really positive.
Good, yeah. No, but we're very pleased and say we're carrying on with the comments that were made in the questions. So I think we can afford ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back for that exercise. Okay. Fortune 2, schedule of accounts for payments. Are you going to do the normal?
Would you like to take 14.22, 14.217 on block, Chairman?
Yes, please.
First?
Yeah.
Is there a seconder?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
All agree?
Yeah, all agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, request of future agenda items. Oh, we've got a few. The last one, the last meeting, obviously July, there's no meeting in August.
Are we not having a meeting in August?
We don't
There
have-
might be a planning meeting. There might be a planning meeting in August.
Okay.
But the,
Planning.
and it might, as things do, it might overspill. But in theory, there isn't one, except for planning. Date of next meeting then is the 9th of July, and thereby at, let's call it 8:30, I close the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's good.